Dear ladies and gentlemen, Kasteyev State Museum of Arts is pleased to present you works by a contemporary Kazakhstani artist, Sergey Maslov. This video is powered by the Ministry of Culture and Sports in the Republic of Kazakhstan. Sergey Maslov was born in Samara in 1952. When Sergey was a child, he was dreaming of being a monarch. He imagined invading an island and declaring himself the king of it. Maslov wrote a constitution for his imaginary kingdom, designed the uniform for the army, and created the etiquette for the citizens. After finishing school, Maslov switched his interest to the extraterrestrial lands and decided to start a kingdom on another planet. Therefore, he had entered the Civil Aviation High School. Fortunately or not, Maslov was not admitted to the ranks of astronauts because of a childhood trauma, so he went to serve as a sailor in the Navy. In his youth, while being in a research vessel in Africa, he made a replica of Renoir's painting, because of which he was expelled from the Navy for the pornography distribution. After this accident, he moved to Kazakhstan and decided to start a career in the pedagogy instead. In the 1970s, Maslov held a position of a dean at the university in Semey. He also spent 2 years working at the Ministry of Education. Throughout his life, Maslov produced numerous paintings, drawings, and installations, set several happenings, wrote many satirical texts and poems, participated in shows in different countries. Modern art was a huge source of inspiration and knowledge for Sergey. Few of his favorite artists include Giorgio de Chirico, Jackson Pollock, Marc Chagall, Yves Klein, and Vasily Kandinsky. The artist often exchanged his paintings with foreign visitors of the art center at Malaya Gruzinskaya in Moscow for the books on Pablo Picasso, Alexander Calder, and Amadeo Modigliani. The artist was fond of astrology and magic. Sergey believed in the existence of parallel worlds and practiced meditation. He used to get into trance state of mind in order to create artworks that would charm the viewer and make him fall in love with the characters depicted in the paintings. Sergey's approach to art was based on the studies of Eastern philosophies and scientific research on the use of color and sound. Maslov used to install ultrasound transmitters on the back of his paintings and chose each color based on its psychological effect. Another recurring theme in Maslov's art was sexuality. In most of his texts and paintings, women were referred as aliens, goddesses, and ancient deities. The artist believed that by exchanging fluids, humans also exchange energies and knowledge that will be saved at the subconscious level of the minds. Despite being Russian, Sergey Maslov considered himself a representative of the East. The artist was fascinated by the lifestyle of nomads and the Middle Eastern people. Maslov was knowledgeable about local heritage. The artist was deeply influenced by the culture and traditions of it. Most of his projects were based on the nomadic customs and folklore. He even called himself an astral nomad. According to Maslov's text, written for the Baikonur 2 project, Kazakh people are the descendants of the aliens. Kazakh ship for the space explorations is a yurt produced in a phallic shape, which also represents a rocket. Baikonur 2 was exhibited in Berlin at the No Man's Land show in 2002. In 2005, Maslov was exhibited at the Central Asia Pavilion at the 51st Venice Biennale. Today, one can see art by Sergey Maslov at the Kasteyev State Museum of Arts. His paintings also belong to the collections at the museums in East Kazakhstan, Belgium, and Canada. One of the most famous happenings by Sergey Maslov took place at the Kasteyev State Museum of Arts in 1997 at the Galleries Parade. Representing the Voyager gallery, Maslov has set a performance in 3 actions. During one of these actions, Maslov used blood of his student who participated in the performance to make a drawing. Yeast is a subtle thing to understand, caused a huge scandal, and Maslov was fired from his position of a professor afterwards. Regardless of being criticized during his lifetime, now the legacy of Sergey Maslov is considered valuable by art historians and art collectors. In 2013 and 2014, 2 of his paintings were sold at Sotheby's in London at the Central Asian art sales and went to private collections. In his latest years, Maslov started to create monochrome paintings in the shades of blue. When asked why, he replied, "My eyes are blue, maybe because of that." One of the works made in this style is a portrait of Whitney Houston. The artist was in love with the singer and created a series of imaginary letters that he and Whitney could have written to each other. In 1998, he wrote a note which stated, "In 2003, my idol will turn 40 years old. I will die on this day in order to prolong her life." Sergey Maslov died unexpectedly in April 2002 in his beloved city of Almaty. He loved its underground culture that resisted the political regime, and he loved its mountains, where he believed that one could find portals to the subtle worlds. Maslov's night Tram group was one of the most progressive art collectives in the country, and the survival instructions for the citizens of the former USSR is a remarkable artwork illustrating the post-Soviet era. Sergey Maslov was an exceptional artist who created a fantastic universe with aliens and magical creatures which are immortalized in his art. He described a good artist as one who has an abundance of knowledge or an abundance of passions. He was an artist who certainly had both.